mahi a te mārei kura e kawe nei ngā ahuatanga o te wā. Kia kore e taumaha wera ahuatanga i rungi o Koopu e pāna ki te korona, i te matikini. Nō reira, tēnei tātou e tautoko ana i wāhau nā mihi, i te werowero a te ngira. Kia kahala tātou ki te tautoko i tēnei kaupapa. Ki kore, he mate nui, tātou ki runga ki a tātou. Mena ki te kore tātou e wero hia ki te ni, tēnei te ngira e wero nei. Tēnei te ngira e patu nei i te korona i te uruta ki ora i tātou moa popo. Nō reira hurinua i tō tātou pare, ki o tātou rangatira o tēnei takiwa, roa e noho nei i tēnei whenua taurikura o tūranganui a kiwa, tūranganui a maru, tūranganui a toi, toi whakaputi ki te whaiau ki te ao marama, e tama te ātāhua o waumahi, me o kaimahi. Ātāhua roat, ko koe ko tātou kei te tihi o te maunga, o maunga teitei tēnei e kōrero nei, o te maunga o toi kai rākau, o toi whakaputa ki te Tairāwhiti whānui tunu, tēnei tātou e tuku mihi ki a koe, me wau kaimahi rangatira, e pupuru nei ki te mauri manua tapu o tēnei mahi o mātou tīpona o ngaroa ki te mo. I runga au i tētahi tamaiti e amuamua. E toku tamaiti tika tonu kia amuamu mai. Paramai. Karia mai tō tamaiti. Nei rā taku karakia hei whakahuaki i tā tātou. Paramai ka mumo. Nei rā te tino o taku wero nira ki aku ringa. Kia pai ai te mokopuna moapo. Kato hea toi hangi ki oi a koe te kuiti ki para ki a kia i a koe te mani rerere. Taku rau o tita. Kia pai ai koe te reri nunga i ngā haua koe kōri o ri pōtorohomo. I rā kai te piki pōtuku te rau o te toro te hui a tita. Whākene hika ngā kua te riri ngā kua te titi he mea ka whaumai. Whāka te ki ue, whāka te roro, te whakangandu he whakangarangi, pau hiuho, paurara, tioho i roto, māra me roto. Tēnei pau, pau te manawa, pau o tēnei, kui aroha, kui tauhima, tū whakaputi ki whai au ki te ao marama, kui ake, kui te marama, kui te ora, haungi e, kui e. Mātara mai ka titi. ngā kaumaha, ngā kaupapa taumaha o te wā. Tēnei au, mihi kaua tuana kia koutou, tēnei rā. Kuri noi tō tātou pare, tēnā koutou, kuri no, tōra tātou kapa.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my absolute pleasure on behalf of the Tairāwhiti Arts Festival to welcome you here tonight. How blessed are we? How blessed are we to be gathering at a time like this? How blessed are we to be hosting one of the hardest working women in Aotearoa this night? And I'm joined with Derek in offering our humble acknowledgements to you three women and your team, who are working so incredibly hard to care for us all. It makes a huge difference to how we feel about being the people of Aotearoa, and please know that your efforts are hugely appreciated by us. It means a huge, huge deal. But tonight we're here to celebrate the creative brilliance of Teina. And as my nanny used to say, ngā waipotana a Māori. Māori, the haututu, the biggest haututu of Māori. Māori, our tipuna. Māori, the creative genius, who pushed the wind, pushed the boundaries, and created the wonders of the world. We're here gathered in that spirit to celebrate the whāriki that is created when the creatives come out to play. We are blessed with the local talent we have. We are blessed with the hard-working Ringaropa, right? Who roll alongside the creative talent and make sure that things happen. So for all of you, your fabulous mahi, neira te mihi. And a special mihi to the team, working through all of this uncertainty to gather us together safely, with all of our whānau to celebrate all that we are. Anu te mihi aloha, kia tātou katoa, kia ora.
Tēnā tātou te whare, tēnā koutou ki ngā mihi kua mihia. Ko manawaru te maunga, ko te ara i te awa, ko ruapani, rongo whakaata, Ngāti Porou o Kuiwi, ko Tama Waipara tōku ingoa. I had the joy of being the Artistic Director and Chief Executive of Te Tairāwhiti Arts Festival. So on behalf of our team, and to add to the kōrero already tonight, welcome. Welcome to this gathering, this meeting of creative energy, this place of excellence that connects far beyond our presence here today. I have more to say, but I'll say it later. My job right now is to introduce, yes, the hardest working woman in Aotearoa. It's a little bit deja vu because the Prime Minister opened our festival when we began in 2019, and so those were very different times. One of my favourite moments from that time is a photo of a great big hug, a thing that has become an awkward moment for us here in Te Tairāwhiti, where we're used to offering our aroha freely and without caution. But those are not the times we live in. So tonight is about being grateful for the presence that we have, but also being mindful for the journey ahead. And with that in mind, I'd like to welcome to speak to us all the Right Honourable Prime Minister Jacinda. Tēnā koe.
Oh, kia ora koutou katoa, ngā mihi nui kia koutou, and thank you so much for the opportunity, Tama, to be here today. I'm in that awkward moment that I've experienced over the past few weeks of when you whip the mask off, you never know where the lipstick has landed. So I'm just going to have a little faith. No one's made any awkward noises, that I'm okay. Tā Derek, thank you. My te reo is very, very patchy, but I could feel the spirit of what you were saying. And later I'll test how accurate Kiri Tapu's translation was. Glenys, it was just last night, Glenys and I were on a Zoom together. I was in Hastings and Glenys was in the hut, and we were talking to a group of Pacifica young people who are based in Tamaki Makaurau and had organised a vaccination drive that saw 6,000 people come out. These were high school students. What an amazing job they'd done, and it just demonstrates the diverse lives we both lead, that here we are this evening. So I want to acknowledge you for all the mahi you do. And of course, my colleagues and friends, Kiri Tapu, Alan and Mika Whaitiri, who'll be well known to you today, and I want to acknowledge Clark. Of course, he is the reason that I get to coattail on this region, which I consider, I don't know if you can have more than one tūranga waiwai, but I feel like I do. Today, I would love to be able to say that Tama, after the amazing opening we had in 2019, he was so moved by the memories that he invited me to come back and open this one. That's not quite how it went down. I called Kiri Tapu a few days ago when it looked like I might be able to leave Wellington for a few days and said, Kiri, I would like to go to Murupara, I'd like to go to Ruatoria, Tolaga Bay, Hicks Bay, and let's stop in Flaxmere on the way. And she said, well, it sounds like we might be passing through Gisborne in those times. Can you do a speech for me? And so I find myself here. That road trip, though, was all about visiting parts of the country where we know we need to reach with our vaccination program. And I don't see that driver as being that much different to why we are all here tonight. That program and the reason that we're going into those small communities is, I don't believe that we should in any way treat our cities any different than our small rural or isolated communities. Everyone deserves access to good health care. Everyone deserves the protection that we can provide right now. And everyone deserves to be able to also access the arts, because I see healthcare and the arts about the same thing, well-being. And for a long time, we've perhaps been quite narrow about what well-being is. I've been around politics for long enough to know that often when we talk about that, particularly when we're in hard economic times, we tend to start treating the arts as being a nice to have that can wait until we fix all of the other things that are necessary for life. This pandemic has taught us that being with one another, our ability to be creative, our ability to have shared experience is actually something that's really critical to our lives. And man, have we noticed the absence of it. And so a big driving force for me in us getting back to a place where things feel normal to me is togetherness. Our ability to have these experiences, the ability to have festivals like this, and it is a huge motivation for me. In the meantime, we'll keep doing what we can. We've pulled forward we put together a more than $300 million package to help support the recovery of the arts post-pandemic. And we've pulled some forward specifically for this immediate time. But in amongst all of that, it's enabled us to do some really good things. And I want to thank the Trust. You've been a part of that. We've got 2 programs that you're helping us with, probably more that I don't know about, but one is a cultural arts activator here in Tairāwhiti who will be working to increase participation, engagement in the arts. And that has been one of my mantras since I came into the arts portfolio, because when you grow up in parts of the country that people sometimes don't think about, you want to be thought about. So this is a world-leading festival. In my mind, this is world-class what you're doing here. It is a treat to be here for the opening. Let's all keep working incredibly hard. I can promise you I will, to make sure that this is back again in the future in its full splendour so that more people can enjoy it. But I'm so happy that you're here now and you are helping people's recovery and their well-being. So thank you for what you do. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
I'm just going to be, back and forth tonight. Tēnā koe, te premier, te marekura. So you stole my speech entirely. I had a whole coho planned about how, arts were essential, not a nice to have, but a must have. So I don't really need to do that bit anymore. What I do need to do is acknowledge why we're here, and that's the artists. Without their creative brilliance, we would not have a platform with which to offer up the kōrero of this place. When we began this festival, we had a really simple kaupapa, that we were of the place and its people, that we were an arts-led kaupapa or an artist-led kaupapa, and that we were a platform for connection. That third one has been really challenging lately. And we stepped out into the year in July with a massive program and announced what it was we were doing, what our intention was. And I just, before we go any further tonight, want to acknowledge all those artists and crew who are not here. Yeah. That includes people in our own team who are still working remotely, who are Zooming us every morning and night and on the phone and on FaceTime, being walked through Tairāwhiti, checking health and safety to make sure that everything we do is done firstly with rigour but also with aroha. So I want to acknowledge them. I want to acknowledge the shows that were cancelled and what that flow-on effect has for an ecology that is fragile. It is deeply fragile, and there are artists who are really struggling right now to see the path ahead, and not just artists, crew, production, all of the people who work behind the scenes. So I feel very, very grateful that tonight actually we do get to go ahead, mostly with intent, but I come back to that first part of our kaupapa, of the place and its people. Now, when we started, we looked around and saw a lot of things that were happening, wonderful kaupapa across the country, but we knew that there's something special here in Te Tairāwhiti. And we knew that actually shining a light on that was the key to our purpose for being. So it's no mistake, it's quite deliberate in fact, that even with travel limited, even with access to other regions, that we are able to proceed safely under level 2 because of the beating heart that is brought to life by te kāinga, by our artists at home. It's my hope that their brilliance radiates out across the world, as they deserve. So when you step out tonight into Tairāwhiti and see this incredible offering that Melanie Tangaire Baldwin, and I just want to acknowledge you, Ehua. Tēnā koe te tuahine. Mel has curated an incredible offering. Over 12 different artists, all with connections to here, who've dreamt up something special, surrounded by tohunga toi, who bring their brilliance so that we can see the taumata from home. So thank you for coming. Thank you for making the time to come home. And thank you for making the time to be here with us to celebrate that. I want to acknowledge that we've split in two, so we will have an October offering and we will have a February offering. So this is shameless advertising now. So Hihi, which will open the February offering of our festival, will now occur on a Waitangi weekend at Waihirere Domain. And so that brings me to our next speaker who I want to introduce, who's the creative director for Hihi, and that's my whanaunga, Teina Moetara. Tēnā koe.
haven't quite gotten taken off my mask without pulling everything else off my face. Tēnā koutou, e te pāwhaka wairoa, Uncle Derek, tēnā koe. It's an honour to speak to us following the Prime Minister's speech. And the first time I spoke to you and the first time I met you, Jacinda, was during the Tuia 250 celebrations, or leading up to it. And in that speech, I let you know that my beginnings in the world of theatre happened in a little play from Lytton High School called the Lost Tune or something like that. And I was performing alongside Clark. And so the beginnings of this conversation is actually that. It's beginnings. And the importance of beginnings, because you never know where those beginnings are going to take you to. And, you're doing pretty good at the moment, Clark, so it might be working out there a little bit. I think, when I think about the Tairāwhiti Arts Festival, as Tama said, there's a particular thing that he was talking about, which is a connection to place, to people, and I think arts into Tairāwhiti, or more specifically, and unashamedly I would say toi, as it's slightly different to the arts, because I kind of think the arts is a little bit outward facing, a little bit of bling, a little bit of bougie. But toi is different, and toi is about the artworks that give you connection to place and identity. And for a country, I think we have some identity questions that we need to work out. And so a festival like this is also about exploring, curating relationship to who we are. My beginnings come from Manituki, the village that I grew up in, and that is surrounded by toi. Rukupō, master carver, who carved te hauki tūranga in te papa, the wharenui in te papa. Te hauki tūranga literally means the vitality of tūranga. So part of my role, another role, is as the General Manager of Rongo Whakaata Iwi Trust. And part of our sort of desire would be to bring vitality back to tūranga through the returning of that whare. It's a big piece of work, but I think it's something for all of us to think about how we return vitality to our place. The other place of toi that I grew up in was a place called Waihirere. My parents, who were both sitting up there, in 1977, they were performing members of the Waihirere Māori Club. I was 3. And if you don't know Waihirere Māori Club, I think you've been under some rock somewhere, not into Tairāwhiti, absolutely, right. So big sounds, big-bodied, and as a 3-year-old, big toenails walking down the sort of the rows, those sorts of things. So I learnt that. I learnt about the voices of those people, and that those people sing fully. But it's also not just about the people, it's the voice of that place. So Waihirere literally talks about the waterfall there, and the he part in there is the sort of the sound, the vitality of that sound. So he also is about vitality and the vitality of place. We're using it a little bit, the art part, I think, is to take orchestra, to take opera, to take kapahaka, and then to take the voice of the land and to put it together into something beautiful. This is something for all of us too. So we have those spaces, but across Te Tairāwhiti and across Aotearoa Whānui, the voices of our spaces and places are really important to bring forth. So tēnā koutou, and the last thing I want to say is, I think if Wellington is like the arts capital of Aotearoa, we could be the toi capital of Aotearoa. Sorry. We've got a little bit of a treat. with Tama Waipara, Tyna Keelan, and Erena Koopu.
What you call a pivot. So we are nothing if not versatile in Te Tairāwhiti. And when flights get cancelled and musicians can't make it, we make it up. So of course that was the incredible Erena Koopu. Whose work you will see on the bridge tonight, and whose work was also behind her, and whose face graces the cover of the program, and who is the star of Whakapau Pākehi. I also want to just point out these beautiful aute by artist Fiona Collis, who's sitting here tonight. And 3 of 4 kina. The work was entitled Kina Help You, by Johnny Moetara. So just before we head out into the world again, I just need to do a few thank yous. Firstly, thank you for coming tonight. I want to thank our funders, Trust Tairāwhiti, who actually took a big punt very early on and did something quite radical, which the rest of the country has noticed. And I think actually it's not whakahihi to say that the world has noticed. Standing behind the thing that makes your community unique and special, that feeds the heart of a creative ecology, is courageous and visionary. So I need to acknowledge our trustees that are here tonight for their continued support of our kaupapa. Without them, we would not be here. I also need to acknowledge Creative New Zealand, who are also here tonight. Tēnā koutou. I said it was a fragile ecology, the arts world, but it's powered by a lot of different parts, and no one of them can sustain themselves solely. We are all connected, so all of those people who work tirelessly to try and get things out into the world so we can access them need to be acknowledged as well. So tēnā koutou CNZ. I need to acknowledge the Ministry of Culture and Heritage, and it's good that we've got 2 Associate Ministers for the Arts in the room. I have a long list. I also need to acknowledge the Ministry of Business, of Innovation and Employment too, because we're on a ladder there. I want to acknowledge Gisborne District Council, who have been incredibly supportive, particularly the staff who run the venues, who run the events. They are all navigating the same choppy waters we are, so it means a lot to have the support and your knowledge and expertise in those sometimes prickly places. I want to acknowledge Te Tairāwhiti Te Reo Māori, who have, by the way, the best masks. I don't know if you've seen them, but there's a model over here. I want to acknowledge Tūranga Health, and that last one's a really important acknowledgement. When you think about tireless mahi, there are some people out there who have been going hard from day dot on our behalf, sometimes with thanks, not always. And so it makes me really proud and humbled to know that we are actually supported by them. So I would ask, lastly, before we close, and I hand back to Taku Whanaunga to close us off, I would ask that we think of those people who are doing the hard yards, to think of Tāmaki, to think of Waikato, to think of the wins too, when we think about Te Whānau Apunui and further around, the wins where actually working at a grassroots community level has made a difference. And what it means, nā wai te kōrero I wahai, what it means to hear things from all sorts of different perspectives. Nō reira, it brings me to the close. And all I have to say is please enjoy the festival. Go out, and there's a few tickets left to 2 things. You see how it works in the Lawson Field, spaced out safely, wear your mask. We've got some other merch out there, so when you go into Tairāwhiti, cast your eye upon the array of amazing merch that sits there waiting for you. but most importantly, be kind, be safe, be well. No reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.
Tēnā tēnā tātou, te ara i whiti. Ka hiki ai, te ara i whiti. Kai te whiti atu koe, ki tua. Mena ka tare e koe te whakawhiti atu ki tērā taha. Ka pēne waku kōrero, kua tae koe i taumata ki atu. Ko te taumata i kōrero he ake nei, it's an old proverb that the word whiti te rā, is about transformative change. And to be able to change and deal with the horizon which is continually changing on us, we need to change accordingly. So i tēnei wā, a whakawhiti atu kātou ki tērā tawa te awa, and we'll change into something else. Papai? Right, let's see whether we can do this. Tā kuara taku are ara whaki tuke mate ara nere i takawhiti i te arapi waka i ane tu, kataki aho i a tāne tu, ka turupo. Turupo tu, turupo po, ui hone i au, i toko toko toko, he toko toko aha, toko toko toko, he toko toko uruha. Ki tara au mō te pō. O rangi nui e tūne, ka papatu ānu koe toko tone, ka puta tātou, ki te whai au, ki te ao marama. Ui ake, ui te marama, ui te mai ora haumi e, ui e! Ana, kōwhiti.
So all that remains as you leave is to take one of the kai parcels, because we're not sharing kai, it's a parcel that's been made for you. Make sure you grab one on the way out, step out into this incredible installation that Malcolm Gordon has curated along with all our wonderful artists, and enjoy the Tairāwhiti.
When you stomped on my soul.